What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another Joust tier list for Smite 2. And today we have OB6, Open Beta 6. I know Open Beta 7 is coming out soon, and there's actually a decent bit of buffs and nerfs coming to items and gods. So this will be subject to change. I haven't fully gone over Open Beta 7. I'm actually going to record that here soon. But I did see a couple things in which they're changing, so it might change a couple gods here and there, but overall I believe that, you know, it'll be roughly the same, similar at least, outside of maybe a couple gods. But yes, I haven't done one of these in a while. I kind of didn't realize how quickly they're going to do open betas updates. Like, I think within the past month they've come out with 3 updates. Pretty considerable updates too, which makes sense. They're trying to push out stuff as quickly as possible because, you know, they need to. So that makes more sense. So I think realistically, I'm probably not going to be doing them as quickly as I thought I would normally do them. Because before it used to be like every month a new patch would come out, but it seems to be the case that every like 2 weeks a new update comes out. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing like every 2 to 3 open betas, depending on if they keep the same kind of timeline, which I don't know if they will. Regardless, I'm going to be doing these still fairly regularly, maybe once every month, once every 3 weeks, something like that. But within that time frame of Open Beta 3 between Open Beta 6, there have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new gods. Cerberus is here because the open or the PTS is available, but so we have some new gods. We have a lot of changes coming here. I looked over this. This is from last tier list. So let's go ahead and get into this. If you don't know my tier lists, what I do is I go from previous tier lists and I go to and I just switch basically. I don't start from a new one. I just go back from previous tier lists. I feel like this helps because this sort of like showcases how it was before and what has changed. And so you can get really a good picture of what all the buffs and the nerfs and the changes have brought to these characters. And so this is Open Beta 3 currently, and we're going to change it. And at the end, you'll see a side-by-side of them. And then finally, there goes by broken, meaning that they're like the best god right now. S is top picks, A+ is above average, A is average, and then B is below average. We don't really have a broken god from what I'm looking at, in terms of like what you know, comparing it to like Amaterasu or something like that before she got nerfed. But I will fill that spot because I think there is a god, if I were to pick any god there, that I think is just absolutely disgusting, and we'll go over that later. But that is that. Let's actually get into the tier list now. So starting out with the broken tier list, we have Amaterasu. We'll go over these gods at the end. Amaterasu. She was super broken when I did this in Open Beta 3. They nerfed her a few times, I believe. They made her haste a lot worse, which is good because it was fucking disgusting. However, I still think she is a really, really, really solid character. So with that being said, I'm going to put her at top of S. And her win rate will reflect that as well. Her win rate is super, super high. So I'm going to bring her down from broken because I don't think she's broken. I think enough nerfs have happened to where she's going to get brought down to S. Moving on to Aladdin. I remember when he was broken, now he's an S for Open Beta 3. But I'm bringing him down to A+. I think I may have underestimated the nerfs that they did to him. As well as some of the items that they subsequently nerfed. As well as some items that buffed and other guys that got buffed that made him not as great. I played him a couple more times. I'm not the best Aladdin player, nor do I really like. He's a fun character, and I think he's unique, and I'm glad that they brought him in. I just don't personally think you know, I don't play him that much. So, but even going up against some Aladdins, I've noticed that like, oh, I can actually do things to him, or oh, if I have Aladdin on my team, I don't actually think we're gonna win the game every single time. I've been losing less to a lot of Aladdins. I've been losing with decent amount of Aladdins, whereas before, if there was an Aladdin on each team, there's a pretty good chance that Aladdin was going to win, you know, unless it was a mirror match. But yeah, I think he's still pretty solid. He still has that traversal across the map. He still has that life-saving ult, but he's gotten nerfed a lot, and I think that is actually shown throughout the gameplay, and I think he's probably an A+ above average pick. Medusa, I still think is your best, one of your best hunters right now, top 3 for Joust. Nothing's really changed with her. She's gotten a nerf, but I don't think the nerf was enough to do much with her. I mean, whenever I play her, I still get top damage. I still feel like almost invincible. And with other items and guys that counter her, like Kabrakan, like a lot of CC on them, a wall to, you know, cut them off. You can just get shell and you kind of do what you want anyways. There really isn't a god where I'm Medusa and I'm like, oh, I hate going up against them, you know, as playing a Medusa. I may still hate going up against a certain god, but not strictly because I'm Medusa, just because I hate them, for example. And I don't think really much has changed with her, so I think she's still going to be one of your top hunters. Aphrodite, so Aphrodite's always really been good, and realistically, I think she is still one of your best gods in the game. I'm gonna put her in Broken because I think maybe I should change Broken to like Broken slash. The thing is right. I don't know. I guess I'll say I'll leave it at Broken. I'm gonna explain why I want to change it here. Broken sort of implies that, you know, this god is absolutely disgusting, whatever, blah, 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 blah. What I really wanted to say is, like, top bans, which sort of is the same thing as Broken, but not exactly the same type of verbiage I would want to use. For example, if there was ranked Joust in Smite 2, my first ban out of everything right now would probably be Aphrodite. So I put her in Broken because of that. Now, is she actually broken like she was compared to like Amaterasu or the beginning of the, you know, before Aladdin got nerfed? Probably not, but I do think that like she's like my first ban, go-to ban, so I'm gonna put her in Broken. If you really want to argue, I could see her in S, but the things that she brings to the table and make her so goddamn annoying is her healing and her ult capabilities. Every time I try and fight against the fucking Aphrodite, or I go up against Aphrodite, I literally sigh every single time because I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be the most boring sustain fest from the enemy team game that I've ever played, and the only time that we're ever gonna be able to do something is if we all coordinate. We need to get anti-heal, and even still, because they've changed a lot of our kit from Smite 1 to Smite 2, aka after you use your ult, you can have your 3 again. You know, things like that. It just makes it so cringe, and it's even more cringe because she's way better in Joust as a team-oriented player, or a team-oriented game mode. I arguably want to put her in Broken, and I'm doing that because I hate her so much. This is my tier list. But yeah, so yeah, I'm putting her in Broken. Moving on to Sobek, I think Sobek is going to stay here too. He does so much damage. We're kind of in like a tank-ish meta. I've been going up against a lot of double tanks backliner, and comparing it to what it was before at the beginning of the season, where tanks kind of sucked. I'm starting to feel like tanks are coming back, if not already. I don't think it's directly the same thing as it was in Smite 1, where you only go double tank, and that's really the only thing that can work for the most part. Like, I think the meta has switched a lot from, you know, your double backline single tank to there's more hybrid slash tanks, double tank meta teams that are coming back, and with that, he does a lot of damage. He brings a lot to the team. There's not that much to change with him either. He was always really good in Joust, in Smite 1 too, and Smite 2. Does a lot of damage, has execute. I mean, nothing's really much changed with him. He's gonna be your top guardian. Kabrakan, that's not what I meant to do. Kabrakan, I think is gonna stay here as well. I think he does so much goddamn damage. I remember going up against a Kabrakan several times as a squishy, and he would just beeline me, and he would use all of his abilities, have them up again, and again, remember, he has 2/2s. He basically has an extra ability in his 3. I got like not one shot, but like he rotated through all of his abilities so many times that I ended up dying, and he wasn't building like, he was building basically full tank. And you pair that with the amount of CC and setup that he has, just generally speaking, he's definitely us. Geb, What do I want to do with Gab? I can't... Because I'm trying to think. I'm comparing him to... Because he's a Guardian and he has very similar things that he does. Very similar to Kabrakan and Sobek. However, I don't view Geb in the same light as Sobek and Kabrakan. Geb is still very good. But with that, I'm going to bring him down to A+. I can see an argument for S depending on like how good you are with Geb or what team comp you may have to synergize with Geb. But I don't see the same type of conflict that goes on my brain when I see a Sobek and a Kabrakan versus a Geb. So I'm going to bring him down to A+. Nothing's truly changed with him. I just don't, you know, when I see him, I don't feel the same way as I do with Kabrakan and Sobek. He has a lot of pressure with his ult. His 2 is great. His aspect is fine. I don't think it's as good for what he's trying to do as a team player. It's definitely not team-oriented. It's more of a solo lane, selfish kind of aspect. Still somewhat solid, but not for what I feel like Geb should be doing. His shield is so annoying. His shield, though, can be mitigated. Ever since I started picking up Shield Splitter on, like, any of my tanks, basically, that have, you know, strength, or strength scaling, even though technically you don't need it. His shield, you know, doesn't feel as horrible, but I think I'm gonna bring him down to A+. I just don't feel his oppressiveness as much. Hakate I'm gonna bring down to A+ as well. Initially her damage was really good, and the way she played as a character was really nice, and it still is. It's still really good. I've just been noticing that I've been kind of balling a lot of Hakates recently. Decent Hakates too. Like, they're not like bum players that I've gone up against. I mean, I've gone up against some pretty bad Hakates, but no, I've gone up against some really good Hakates as well. And you know, I do fairly well. I do fairly well, better now than before, where I felt like she was super oppressive and like top mage. She's still very good. I just don't feel her damage as much. And I think she's getting a buff too. Vulcan I'm going to bring down to A+, sadly. He's still very good. And I think, actually, now that I think about it, more of these gods that I feel like are going down have been because I've been going up against tanks that have been killing me that weren't able to do it before. And I think that may be the case. They're doing a lot more damage than they used to. I'm doing a lot less damage than I used to. I mean, you think about pen nerf, hybrid items being really good because of that. Double tank's able to just kill you in the backline, so I think that might really be the case. Vulcan just doesn't feel as great. Still very good, does so much damage, and you can carry with him. You just got to position really well if you're going up against some of these gods up here. But still, I think you can bring him down to A+. Agni I'm going to keep up here. His ability to just do so much damage and be safe, I think, is what makes him better than some of these gods. Vulcan and Hekate have their own way to get out, but not in the direct way that Agni has. Now, if you think about gods that can counter him, like Kabrakan, for example, you could make an argument that he's definitely not as good. But in my opinion, if you're going up against Kabrakan or something, either your team needs to get a shell or you need to get a shell. And if you get that, which comes up every, I don't remember the exact time, but you have it up almost every single time. And on top of that, you can have teammates get another one, so you almost never have it on cooldown. He becomes so much more easier to manage, even when his counter. So I think he's still S, and gonna be your top mage in my opinion. Soul got pretty shafted. I still think she's really good, especially with her aspect. She just doesn't hit as hard. She's gotten some nerfs as well as some, the pen nerfs and stuff like that. So she's definitely not hitting as hard as she used to. She still hits pretty fucking hard, definitely late game, but definitely not as oppressive as she was, when her aspect first came out and stuff like that. So I'm gonna bring her down to A+. Achilles is gonna stay here. I think this god does so much damage. I still don't think that enough people play him. It's not even his execute that's really good or makes him this crazy god. I honestly think it's just his overall kit and the changes they made with his kit. Like, you get a shield in your 2 now. I think he's super good. Nothing's changed with him in terms of buffs or nerfs. I think he's getting a buff here soon too. But I think he's definitely one of your top warriors. I end up going top damage and almost never dying if I go like a hybrid build. You know, if I go like shield splitter, if I have like void shield or something like that, and gets, you know, some damage going and protections and maybe some basically percent pen with like void shield or whatever. I know some of those items did get nerfed, like void shield, but I still think he's top pick. I could see an argument for A+, but the Achilles that I've ran into and the times I played Achilles, he just feels unstoppable, and I'm putting him in S. Moving on to Hunbats, I'm bringing this guy down to A, I think. Yeah, I'm bringing him down to A. If you guys don't know, his ult makes it to where it's only 3 ticks, and I played it, and it kind of blows. His why can't I think of the word? His protection debuff, my god, holy. In his 2, no longer procs right as soon as you use it within the cone, it procs as soon as you hit. So that's sort of a nerf. I think he got more damage in his kit, but overall his ult was shafted. After 3 hits, you don't get feared anymore. I mean, that makes his kit way worse. So I think I feel like they should change that, honestly, because he's just not feeling good at all. Maybe I could see A+, but I really think he's just average. His ult was his kit. He still does good damage, stuff like that. But its CC and Smite is so invaluable. All right, going on to A+. On her, I think I overestimated him a little bit. I have been seeing him, playing him. He does not feel as good. He's still super, like, skill heavy. Like, you need to hit your impales. You need to make sure you use your 3 correctly. Your pillars, if you use your pillars correctly, they can be super oppressive. So he's definitely higher up on this skill ceiling. But I mean, if you look at his win rate, he's not doing good. I still think he's a solid hunter. I don't think he's the best. So I'm gonna bring him down to A. Nope. Izanami. Izanami's gonna stay in A+. Nothing's too much changed with her. I still think she's really solid. Her autos still hit like a fucking truck. And she's relatively safe with her 3. You can track her, but she's still relatively safe. Ra. I think Ra is still very good. I don't think his support build is all that great anymore. For his damage, the way he plays as a damage character, I think he's pretty good. I'm gonna keep him in A+. But definitely his support, to be clear, I don't think is as good. If you're gonna play Ra, I think you really should play him more damage oriented. Yeah, ever since they changed his aspect to where, wait, what did they change again? I think they changed his 2. I can't remember. So they changed. I'll go back, but they changed something about Ra to where his, I think it's his 2. Actually, let me go check that real quick. All right, yeah. So I mean, this is a little bit ago, but Ra's decreased solar ray damage from 25 to 135 to 10 to 50. But they increased the scaling. I think that was the bigger thing, because he would still do a lot of damage, but with that change, he really hasn't been able to do that as a support. So as a support, he doesn't do as much damage as you would most likely tell. So I think A+ in regards to his regular damage build. Other than that, I think he's probably not the greatest as much as he used to be. But I still think he's, you know, above average. Rama's gonna stay here. I honestly was always on the Rama train, even when people were thinking that he wasn't that great. I don't think too much has changed with him either. I almost want to put him in S, just because I feel like every time I play Rama, like his autos are so easy to hit. He does so much damage, and obviously the items help him do that extra damage once you get him online. But I don't think he's quite that good to be qualified in S, in my opinion. So I'm gonna keep him in A+, but he's a guy that you can kind of go on any team comp for the most part. Uller I'm gonna keep here as well. His damage is absolutely absurd, but with how hard he is to play him, and I always go through this dilemma, it just depends on how OP he is, will depend on whether or not he goes to S to A+. But currently, with how much damage he can output, which is still very good, versus how hard he is to play, which has always been the same, I still think he's a A+. Bacchus is going to stay here as well. I think he's definitely above average, not quite the level like a Sobek or a Kabrakan, but does do decent amount of damage, has great setup. and can get stuff done. Baron recently, did he get a buff or is he getting a buff? I can't remember. But no, I think he did get a buff in OB6. Actually, I'll look at that right now too. Alright, so no, he did get a buff in OB6. He got decreased in his 1 cooldown, as well as missing health from his 2. And life of the party has increased his strength. So that's actually a pretty decent buff. I haven't seen him too much, so I mean, he's still, I always thought he was a really good god anyways. Kind of want to put him in S, but I still think he's probably, I still think he's an above average character. He's probably on the cusp of S if I were to put him, like, if we're going to rank the tier list in order from this, even though I'm not. I'd put him on the cusp of S. I think he's definitely a very underrated god. I thought he was underrated before those nerfs. But with the, or before those buffs, sorry. But with those buffs, I think he's like on the cusp of S. I could literally see an argument for S if you wanted to put him up there, but I'm going to put him at A+, high A+ right now. Ares is S. Ares is really fucking good right now. Every time I go up against Ares, I hate it. So anytime I see those gods in the S pick, I'm like, Jesus Christ, great. I can't wait to have fun this game. Ares is just so fucking good. He counters everyone, or he counters a lot of, he's like a anti-meta god. Any gods that are like meta, he'll just counter basically. He counters like almost all these gods except maybe Kabrakan. But even still, you can make an argument he counters Kabrakan because he doesn't have a CC immune ult. But regardless, I think he's one of your top guardians right now as well. He just does so much damage. His aspect is really good. Before he had his aspect, he wasn't as great. But with his aspect, I mean, you get a stun on your auto with your 2. That's a free chain. That's free setup. I mean, when you add CC to certain gods' kits, even if it's 1 second like stun or something or a root, it can skyrocket them to the top, and I think that's where Ares stands. He's so fucking good, and he's going to be an S, in my opinion. Chalk is going to stay above average. He still does good damage, still has great team synergy with most gods. He can handle his own, he can help out your team. Not, you know, to the level of other gods, because he doesn't have great CC outside of his ult, and maybe a slow in his 3. But he's still very good right now. Cupid I'm going to bring to S right now. I know Cupid is getting nerfs, I think. Like I said, I know. But I believe Cupid is getting nerfs, rightfully so. And I believe he got some nerfs beforehand too. He's one of your top hunters right now. He's so fucking good. His ult, his 2, I mean his auto's chunk as well. He's so hard to catch and kill, especially with the current roster of gods we have right now. He's definitely really hard to manage. I think he's probably going to go down after OB7. So let's actually look at that real quick. Alright, so it turns out I'm wrong. Cupid hasn't gotten a nerf, or will be getting a nerf, in a very long time. So he's going to be rightfully in S right now. I think he's very good. I think he has a really high win rate as well. So I'm going to put him in S. Hercules is going to stay here. He's gotten some nerfs. Overall, I don't think it really changed much of where he's at. He's so fun. But he does a lot of damage still. It's a great setup for your team. And his 2 is a lot easier to hit as well, from Smite 1 to Smite 2, so that's always been a thing recently. Or the change recently in terms of Smite 1 to Smite 2, because Smite 2 hasn't been out for that long. But anyways, yeah, Hercules is definitely A+, can get a lot of things done. I won't quite put him in S, but you know, he's going to stay the same in A+, very good. Kukulkan, I'm going to keep in here as well. He's probably going to stay here for almost forever, unless they, you know, buff him and stuff like that, or nerf him. Currently, he just does so much good damage. He has decent getaway with his 3 and his NATO. His ult, obviously, for clear, or I'm sorry, for confirm. He's sort of a god that you can kind of rely on to do the same thing. Has great things in his kit that don't change too much. Overall, just like your cream of the, or not cream of the crop, your go-to mage if you want to just play a god who can do all the mage things that you want. Neath, I think Neath right now might be S. I think Neath might be S. I'm gonna keep her in A+. What's keeping me from putting her in S is just I still can do things to her in game. I don't feel like she does a lot of damage, obviously, and she has a lot of pressure in game. So I could see the argument for S, but currently I still think she's probably top A plus. She's super fucking good though. She is still very, very good. Ymir's gonna stay in here in A. I think he's very similar to Geb. Is there other guardian here? I think he's very similar to Geb in terms of being that traditional, really good guardian that gets a lot of things done. It can be super oppressive, but not quite like Bracken or Sovek. Does decent damage. Zeus is gonna stay here too. Zeus is still very, very good. He has sort of like an effect that Uller has, not in the same way. Zeus is way easier to play than Uller, I admit that. But I think because Zeus is harder to position, people who play Zeus have a hard time figuring out how to play him correctly. So if you position wrong, Zeus can get destroyed. But if you use his kit right, position right, and use his 2 correctly, he's definitely like top. His autos as well, or his auto build as well as his full damage build is really good. He does so much damage, has so much pressure with his ult as well. But to keep that median between both of these, you know, the highest, the best Zeuses and like the not so great Zeuses, because he is a little bit harder to play in my opinion when it comes to positioning him well. I'm gonna keep him in A plus. New Wall, I'm bringing down to A. I think I overestimated her. Definitely not that great, I'm gonna be honest. Her minions are annoying and she still can get stuff done, so I'm not gonna put her in below average, but I've recently played up against her, and before I thought she was a lot better than she was, because she definitely gets clapped pretty easily unless you know, position well. But it's sort of like a worse Zeus. Even if you position well, so you might not be able to get shit done. Going on to Anubis, I'm going to keep him here as well. His DPS is still so good. His ult changes are really good. He just does so much damage. And with the lifesteal build, he doesn't have as much pen like he was in Smite 1, but lifesteal is so much better in Smite 2 than Smite 1 that, you know, if you go like a Bancroft's Talon with like a Titan's Bane, or just Bancroft's Talon with a Typhon's Fang, or you could go like a Soul Gem with Typhon's Fang. Either way, your healing is ridiculous, and you can definitely feel that. I've have some Anubis games where I've out healed their damage, which is good. In terms of like, he's good. I don't know if, you know, I don't know if it's healthy for the game, but no, it's fine. Anubis is definitely really good right now. I'm gonna keep him in A plus still. All right, moving to average. Athena I'm gonna keep here too. Definitely with the hybrid, more of the hybrid team comps coming in. I definitely don't think she's as great. With that, she just doesn't do that much damage either. So I'm gonna keep her in average. You know, if you get a specific team going on, like if you did like a cringe team comp like Susano, Athena, and like a Poseidon, then she can be really good. But I think she overall is just an average god. Kern's gonna stay here too. Even with his buff recently to his ult, I still don't feel him to be that great. Him not having some type of CC immunity in a very mid dash, unless you go the aspect, but his aspect's not good, let me tell you, in Joust. I don't feel him being all that great. You literally have to buy items to make sure that he doesn't die, because he doesn't have a lot of CC immunity or any type of CC immunity. So, I mean, I've gone up against a Mordred. I have a game where I go up against a Mordred and a Baron, I believe, and I just couldn't do anything if my beads were down. You know, granted, if my Kefri in the game would have gotten me a beads of, or talisman of purification, the game would have been a lot easier, but they didn't. So I ended up dying a lot because I just felt like I couldn't do anything. I'm gonna keep him an average, but again, the reason why he's not in below average is because he's a late game hunter, or he can get, if you get late game, he absolutely smashes. Which actually, I think in that game I won the game because I turned in, you know, got my build online. Donza I'm actually gonna bring up to A plus. I have a recent game on Donza, and I do think he I think he definitely showcased to me that he's a lot better than I thought he was. He's probably gonna be on the lower end of the totem pole of above average A plus, but I still think he is fairly good. I will say that his aspect isn't that great, seeing as you can kind of, in my opinion, obviously in my opinion, I don't think his aspect is all that great, because you get his extra little minion, whatever things you want to call it, in his passive, and so you kind of get them anyways. And not having that extra CC, which again SMITE 2 is really good with CC. Like you need like CC is what SMITE is really about. You know, if you don't have his taunt, it makes him a lot worse. And so I think having a taunt definitely makes him a lot better. And I think that's one of the biggest things is his taunt and CC. And so I'm gonna put him in above average. Nemesis, I'm gonna leave here. I don't think Nem is, you know, that great. I think her aspect is really good, and I think that's really what's keeping her from B to A. But other than that, she doesn't have great team synergy with any of them really. With any other team, you know, maybe if you catch somebody off guard, you can do things, but overall, she's just kind of average, nothing great. Mulan's going into B. She's not good at all. She kind of sucks. I think they need to buff Mulan. She is not good right now. I think she actually has the worst win rate. And I think she was actually pretty bad, even, you know, last tier list. But you know, I still held on to hope. I was white knuckling her ability to do things, and she can still do things, but it's gonna take a little bit more for her to do things compared to every other god, basically. Jing Wei, she recently got a significant buff. But with that being said, I'm gonna keep her at A. At least in Joust. She can get things done in Joust and she does damage, but Jingwei has always been known to not be all that great in Joust. She was only above here because she was like OP in Conquest, but in Joust, I mean, she can, you know, come back with her passive and everything, but outside of that, I don't think she's all that great in Joust. You really need a team comp to help her out with like CC to get those autos. And with, you know, a smaller map, Jingwei is not going to have as much impact, I feel. In my opinion, to like Conquest or whatever. So I'm gonna keep her in A. Still think you can get things done with her, but I'm gonna keep her in A. Bologna. Bologna. I've gone up against some Bolognas. I just don't feel like she does all that great. When you have a god like Amaterasu, I feel like Bologna just gets outshined. Now, with that being said, I could see an argument for A+. I think she's probably top of A. So I think Bologna, if you play her correctly, can be oppressive. And that might be the case that I've just ran into several Bolognas over and over again that weren't great. That could be the case, but I don't know. I don't think she's the best right now. So I can see an argument for A+, but at the end of the day, I think she's going to be top of A. So basically average. Kefri, I'm going to keep here too. I do like his aspect build. If you go like a, I think I've done a video on it, like Braggy's Harp, some attack speed. And honestly, if you go like a Magi's Cloak, which is even more cringe, you can kind of, you know, if they have an enemy team to CC you off with his one. You have a Magi's Cloak, so you have CC immunity right there. I've seen a Kefri do that once. That was pretty cringe. So I think that build's going to make him a lot better, but I don't really think that's makes him that much better. As a god, if I were to put him, I'd probably put top of A, but definitely I don't really think he's A+. Pele, nah, I'm gonna put her in B. She's probably gonna teeter between A and B. She just doesn't bring too much to the table. She does a lot of damage, but you know, with all the CC that we're starting to get, she doesn't do much. I've gone up against some really good Pele's as well. Some high-end players as Pele, and end up beating them pretty easily because, you know, she's just sort of easy to kill. As long as you don't get one shot, she kind of doesn't do much. I remember going up against a game of like a really good Pele. We ended up winning that game. It was a little bit tougher, but I swear to God, if they had picked anything other than Pele, they probably would have won the game. But they picked Pele and we killed her and we won. Poseidon I'm going to keep here as well. I don't think he belongs in the same realm of gods like a Zeus, Kukulkan, or a Baron or anything like that. He does good damage with his 3 and his ult. But outside of that, that's all he has. Now, like I said, you can synergize him with some decent combinations like with Athena, but you know, other than that, not too great. The Morrigan have actually surprised me as well. I think she's A+. She's obviously really hard to play because you got to think about who you want to turn into at a specific time. And you know, if you're on controller, it's a lot harder to do. But even like the hybrid build that I've been going, which I've been liking, I get top damage with her. You go like life binder and some hybrid items and like the rest damage, and I mean you're chilling. I think she does a lot of damage. She's super good, especially with her aspect that allows her to go out her 3. So, you know, if she does get CC'd to high hell, like if you get Herc plucked or something, then you can just teleport to your aspect, your 3. And it can definitely allow you to get some outplays as well, if you want to play her that way too. So overall, I think she's really good. So I'm gonna put her in above average. Thor, I'm gonna put in above average too with his aspect. I've been liking his aspect, going like the hybrid build, and he still does a lot of damage, making him tankier as well. So I think he's ever since that aspect came out, I think he's gotten a lot better. They did nerf it, I believe, but he's still very good. I'm gonna put him at, like, if I were to put him in above average, I'd put him below an above average, teetering on average. But I think his aspects made him a lot better, made him more tankier. Still does damage too, so I think he's above average. Hades, oh my god, this guy. I don't know where I want to put him. He's just not great, but I'm gonna keep him at A because he's a lot better than Hades was before in Smite 1. I've won a couple games with Hades. He does things. I don't feel like he ever really gets top damage, and with that, I kind of build him more hybrid. It could be the case I'm not a great Hades either, which I'm really not, even though he's a really simple character. I don't think, you know, I don't know. I just don't feel like he has all that. He uses his abilities, and if you don't do enough damage, you kind of just have to walk away, in my opinion. All right, going down to below average, we got Odin. Odin recently got a buff. I don't think it does much to him. I think it's mainly his kit. Again, his ult being what it is when you have out of the gate relic that counters him, and you can buy 3 of them. His 3 does a lot more damage, but other than that, I still think he's below average. Thanet as well. I don't think he does too much either. His aspect's a little bit better for JOUST, making him more bruiser-like, but other than that, not great. Fenrir actually had to get nerfed. I was going to put him in above A, or above average in A+, but since they nerfed him, I'm going to bring it back up to A. His aspect changed a lot, so you get more protections and stuff like that. They nerfed it. I'd have to go back, actually. Let's go look at it real quick. Alright, so this was his initial buff, Brutalize, his 3. They gave him a shift, decreased protections while channeling from 5 to 25 plus 2 to 5 to 17 plus 2. But with his aspect, Brutalize, increased protections while channeling him for the additional buff duration on the aspect from 5 to 25 plus 2 to 7 to 35. So he got a lot of protections. And recently in OB6, you'll see here that he did get nerfed a little bit. I believe in his 3 and his ult. You can see decreased empowered scaling from 70 to 60, and then to increase movement speed pro. So I think his nerf probably brought him down to A, but I still think he's very good when, you know, if you build him like hybrid auto attack speed, add like a Kin's Berserker shield, some hybrid items, and you could be doing some damage. I will say though, if you're gonna build Fenrir the way he would be good in, you're gonna want to go some type of attack speed, because I think his regular kit's just not gonna do enough damage, and you need some extra autos to help you with that. So I'm gonna put him in A for average, but almost, in my opinion, A+. Loki's not great. He kind of sucks. I don't think he does much. His ult's fine. Other than that, he's same old Loki. Susano got some big buffs. I think that brings him up to A. Not quite A+ in my opinion. I have a video coming out about him, but he's gotten significantly better. His damage is a lot better. He's got reduced cooldowns, I believe, and I definitely felt that. Or at least maybe the build I was going had a lot of cooldown as well. I mean, either way, he feels a lot better than he once was, so I think I'm bringing him up to A. Yamoja going up to A+, isn't that crazy? Now she's going up to A+ because of her aspect. I think her aspect is it's really good right now. The damage that you can do with her too is kind of absurd. So I'm putting her in A+ right now until they maybe nerf it. But you're gonna want to play her like a mage, or at least, you know, some type of hybrid play. I do have a video coming out about that too, but she can do some damage. Her ult does a lot of damage, and yeah, she does a lot of damage. All right, so this is right now. This is what we're looking at. A lot of different changes, or a lot of changes from S, A plus, a lot less and below average. A lot more in the average and above average, which it really should be. Most gods should be around the above average and A, I believe at least. All right, so going on to our new ones, we got Artemis. Artemis is going to go straight to A plus. I think she's super good right now. Honestly, probably top of A plus. Every time I played this god, I just feel unstoppable. Her ult, her aspect. I'm sorry. Jesus, I need some water. No, her aspect is really good right now because it heals her as well, and has some really great clear. Her 2 is obviously very good for like the stem. 3 does a lot of damage. Obviously, you have her ult with her CC immunity. She has a lot to her kit. She can get caught out sometimes, and probably that's what's keeping her from S. But you still have abilities that can counter that, you know, with your attack speed and your 2 and CC immunity with your ult, along with the root as well. So I think she's definitely one of your better hunters currently. Wheelix I'm going to bring into average. She definitely can do some things, and you combo her with like a Geb or a Bacchus or even a Vulcan or something. You just have some consistent knockups. She can be pretty good. I've gotten some high kill games as a Wheelix. So she can be very good. Can't really put her in A plus because, you know, she still can get, you know, she's really not still like that OP oppressive god. Not that she would be an A plus, but like, you're not playing her and feeling like, oh wow, she's really good. You're kind of playing her into either a team comp where you're getting dominated, or you can kind of dominate with her, especially with like a lead or anything. So I can't really necessarily say she's A plus in my opinion, but she's definitely average and better than these guys down here. We're gonna skip over Cerberus. He's not out yet, but we'll go over him in my prediction where he'll go. Merlin, I'm bringing A plus too. I think what keeps him from being S is his ability to scale, or his need to scale. His beginning part of his kit is not great. You need some items for him to do damage, but once you get there, he does so much damage. The consequence of Joust though is that it's a fairly short game mode compared to Conquest, so you're not gonna always get your late game Merlin build. And so with that being said, a lot of times you can get snowballed as Merlin. Which kind of sucks, but you know, if you get your Book of Thoth online, you get 4 or 5 items in, I mean, you're destroying and winning games purely off that. So I think because of that, I'm gonna teeter him between S and A, because I still think he's really good. All right, now we have Mordred. Oh, I don't know why he was not already in here. Well, Mordred was in B. I'm now putting him in A. I think the hybrid meta has really changed him to be a lot better. And it might also be the case that I've gone up against some better Mordreds too. That could be the case as well, but I think he's super good right now. I've gone up against a lot more Mordreds who use their kit properly and doing a lot more damage than what they used to feel like when going up against a Mordred, and he's definitely a lot better. You know, ever since they got the pen nerf and some hybrid items gotten back in the meta that are really good. He's gotten a lot better. I will say he's gotten a lot better. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him in A. I can't quite put him in A plus though. Princess Bar is going straight to S. I think she's probably top 3 ADC, top 3 damage dealer, because both builds are really good. I think like the pure damage dealing capabilities of her is probably a decent bit better. So I would probably build her strictly damage oriented, or at least with that in mind, because you can go the ADC Mage build where you get kind of best of both worlds. Where you get a decent amount of attack speed and a decent amount of damage. Now you're not going to get as much damage as you would if you were to go strictly a strength-based attack speed build, but you kind of get best of both. Either way, she can build a lot of things, and with that, she does so much damage. Her ult's insane. Saved me and my team so many times. Have won games off that actually. They recently nerfed her 3. I used to think she would probably be broken, but they nerfed her 3, so she's a decent bit better now. Or I'm sorry, a decent bit worse in a good way, because I don't think she needs to be doing that much damage in her 3. But she's still very good. I end up getting top damage with her every single game anyways. So I think she's S currently. And that is the tier list. Now, if I had to guess where Cerberus was gonna go based off of what I've seen when thinking about Joust, he's probably going to be a S pick, maybe broken depending, because his aspect is gross. If you don't know about his aspect basically, his passive that gave him like the spirits that allowed him to heal, when you hit an enemy god with your 3, no longer is gonna. I believe now it's with his ult too. You can get spirits with his ult too. With his aspect, if you have his aspect on, it will change those spirits to, instead of healing you like they used to, will give you stacks, which will allow you to have your 2 stay longer. So you're gonna have a longer duration 2 for how many more spirits you get. So, and there isn't a cap. There's a soft cap, they said, but there isn't like a hard cap. So you could have this fucking 2 theoretically like last 10 seconds. And I'm curious to see if you build him strictly like cooldown based, if you could not have like an infinite 2, because it doesn't go on cooldown until after you use it, but close to infinite as you can, maybe like a 3-second cooldown type of thing. And if you have like an item that'll allow you to reduce your cooldowns, the item that I'm thinking about, I can't think of the name of, it's a strength based item that allows you to take 3 seconds off your cooldowns. If you could do that and you just, use that properly, you could have like an infinite 2 in some type of way. Either way, I think he's going to be really, really good, even if his aspect isn't as great as I think it's going to be. Overall, his kit is basically the same in Smite 1. So he was always really good in Smite 1, right? Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, it's basically the same kit from Smite 2 to Smite 1. And in Smite 1, he was really good, so I think he's still going to be really good here once he actually is released. Okay, and that is your tier list. Again, where they should be is a lot should be an average, above average. Aphrodite, you can make an argument. Actually, now that I think about it, Cerberus could be the counter to Aphrodite, so we'll have to see about that, but currently this is how my list is going for open beta 6. Open beta 7 is coming in April 7th, so in 5 days, so we have a little bit of time, but this is currently the tier list that I have for open beta 6, and we'll see about doing like a tier list in open beta 8 or 9 or something. I don't think I'm going to do these every single patch, because it seems to be the case they come out pretty frequently. Now it could be the case that once they start slowing down, which I imagine they probably will be compared to what they had before because of the loss of employees, I think maybe I'll start picking them up every open beta patch. But currently at the rate they're going, I'm doing like every 2 or 3. So, but this is the tier list. We're gonna go ahead and compare this to the open beta 3.1 to see the differences. All right, and here is open beta 3, the last one I did, and here is the current one that we just did. So you can definitely see a change in the broken tier list. It was Amma, now it's Aphrodite. Again, you can make an argument to go back down to S, but in my opinion, Aphrodite I think is like that god you would ban every single game mode if you could. A lot of changes from S. I know it's shrunken down a little bit, but there's 3, 6, 9, 10, 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12. So there's a few less in S. There's a lot more in A+. Some notable ones: Amaterasu got down to S, Aladdin's down at A+, Medusa, Sobek, Bracken, Agni, and Achilles are basically still up there. Ares went up 1, which not surprised, he's really good. Cupid is really good, it went up 1. Princess Bari wasn't here, but S. And then you can see Hunbats here actually got down. He's not great. Sol, Vulcan, Hecate went down, so pretty significant changes from OB3 to OB6 in my opinion. A lot of the A+ ones have stayed the same, and then some decent ones, some decent changes here actually. Couple less in here. Yamoja actually is up here, which is surprising as hell, but not actually surprising because her aspect is really good right now. But yeah, so if you'd like to take a screenshot, this is the difference here. We're gonna go back to the tier list and close out the video. All right, so this is the tier list open beta 6. Again, I'm gonna reiterate one last time, I'm not gonna be doing these every single open beta. With the rate that they're going out, I think I'm gonna do it every other or every 2 or 3. And then we'll go from there. Let me scroll up a little bit. Separate Daddy right there. Yep, yeah, right there. And then you got the you can still see kind of basically everything here. Maybe if I do one of these, that'd be better. Nice. Okay. So yeah, if you like the screenshot, that you can. But other than that, I think that's everything for this. Tell me what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'm always eager to see what your opinions are. Obviously, they all differ. So I'm curious what you guys think. If you think this is a good tier list, you know, tell me your opinions. But if you like this video, if you like these videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. They go a long way. I can't tell you how much they go a long way, but they do. You know, I have Discord in the description down below if you want to join a good community. I have Twitch in the description for when I go live. I go live almost every single Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, sometimes throughout the week if I'm feeling it. So go over there, head over there, follow if you'd like. I also stream on YouTube occasionally as well, so you'll see me there sometimes. What else? We got memberships open for 99 cents and I think $2.99 a month if you so desire, but obviously not necessary. But very much appreciated. But I think that is everything that I have for you. Open beta 6 tier list. Hope you guys enjoyed that. But with that being said, that is everything that I have for you. So thank you guys for watching.